Welcome back to a new post today. Today let's talk about a critical issue with regard to the death plea, that is the death sentence of Rajaona, Balwant Singh Rajaona, who assassinated Bean Singh, the Chief Minister of Punjab, and his mercy petition is pending with the President of India. It was yesterday that the Supreme Court had questioned the centre that who is responsible for the delay of the disposal of the petition. So while we have grown as a democracy and we have also identified dying with dignity as a fundamental as a right under the fundamental rights of Article 21, right to life, and many states like Karnataka also has now made euthanasia legal, where they have recognized the people suffering with ailments which are non-treatable to die with dignity. On the other side, we have the centre using its power to keep pending death petitions or death row convicts while the petitions are pending for years together. And the Rajaona's plea is being pending from almost the 10 years. So the question arises as can a mercy petition be pending for such a long period of time? Can the president use the power of pardoning as a privilege to withhold the mercy petition? And is it right to keep someone dying while they are living and when they do not know whether they are going to see the rays of the sun tomorrow morning or will they live? Karnataka has now set up medical boards in the hospitals to facilitate the request of dignified death for the people who are not treatable. And on one side, we have identifying or recognizing dying with dignity, not allowing people to suffer with untreatable diseases and allowing them the choice of dying. On the other hand, we keep mercy petitions pending for such a long period of time. So let's look into the issue about what Supreme Court had actually said. So the Supreme Court, the senior counsel representing Rajaona as his client, said that facing of the death sentence for the assassination of the former Prime Minister Bean Singh in 1995 made Rajaona, and the pending of his petition made him suffer from something called as a death row phenomena, a trauma that is caused by prolonged pendency of the execution of the death sentence. And the Supreme Court asked exactly who it was to be blamed for the pending of the death row. So Rajaona has been in prison for 3 decades, of which 12 years he spent in solitary confinement, and he was on the death row since 2007. The case came up last in early 2025 when the top court urged the centre to take a call on his mercy petition, and the court had said that it would otherwise have no choice but then to decide on the petition for commutation of death sentence on merits. So will the Supreme Court write another chapter while deciding on the powers of the president with regard to deciding of mercy petitions, similar to the pocket veto of the president, where the case was decided in the case, the state of Tamil Nadu versus the governor of Tamil Nadu case, where the Supreme Court gave out a time limit within which the president has to give his assent to the pending state bills. So will this evolve as another chapter in defining the executive powers? We shall watch and see. However, let me tell you that it was in the Shatrughan Chauhan case that the Supreme Court had recognized something called as the death row phenomena and how it has a devastating impact on the prolonged delay on execution. The judgment also acknowledged the physical and the mental toil such delays take on the minds and the bodies of the condemned prisoner, and made it a ground for commutation of death sentence to life imprisonment. Now this also, and also it was in the early period, it was Rajaona denied filing a mercy petition because he said that he was ready to take the punishment and he was not guilty of what, and he accepted in mind and body that he had assassinated Bean Singh. However, in 2019, the MHA wrote to Punjab proposing commutation of his death sentence to commemorate the 550th birth anniversary of Guru Nanak. The proposal was never implemented. In 2020, Rajaona moved the apex court requesting his long pending petition to be taken for immediate disposal. In 2023, the Supreme Court rejected Rajaona's plea and left it to the centre to decide on his fate. So finally, now the ball is in the centre's court to decide on Rajaona's plea petition. Rajaona also then filed a fresh plea which is now before the court, and at the heart of this delay are competing pressures of the government, lingering wounds from the militancy, and on one hand many in the Punjab continue to be sympathetic towards Rajaona plea, and for the other hand there are influential figures including Bean Singh's family who do not want him to be treated with mercy. In 2019, Ravneet Singh Bittu, who is a Congress MP and the grandson of Bean Singh, questioned MHA's decision to pardon Rajaona. Home Minister Amit Shah had then clarified that there was no pardon that has been granted. Let me tell you that Punjab has been festering with militancy years. From 1970 onwards, a movement for a sovereign Sikh state started to intensify in Punjab. By this time, demands made in the 1973 Anandpur Sahib resolution for greater provincial autonomy gained strength, and they were being construed as a call for an independent Khalistan by the Sikh nationalists as well as the Indian state. Under the leadership of the young Sikh preacher Jarnail Singh, Sikh nationalist politics became increasingly violent. Jarnail Singh, who then settled in Golden Temple in Amritsar, was leading the call for a separate Khalistan by 1980s and calling for violence against Hindus and also government officials. Political murders and kidnapping became a commonplace during this time. In 1984, the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi government took a fateful decision to storm the Golden Temple and flush out Jarnail Singh's mates and himself as well. The operation was successful in its objectives. Jarnail Singh and his armed supporters were killed, but it turned out to be much more violent than the previously anticipated plan. The estimates say that almost 3,000 people were killed during the operation. Operation Blue Star, a pivotal moment in the Punjab history and India, and the army's desecration of the holy Sikh site gave a grave insult to the proud community. It was Jarnail Singh who was dead, and the Blue Star galvanized the demand for greater Khalistan and led to a more decade of violence with wounds that continue to fester till date. On October 31st, 1984, the then Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, was assassinated by two Sikh bodyguards. It was followed by brutal anti-Sikh communal violence in which, according to the Conservative, almost 8,000 people had lost their life. And a later year, Canada-based Khalistani militant group Babar Khalsa Group blew up the Air India Flight 182 to avenge Jarnail Singh's murder by the Jarnail Singh's operation by the Jarnail Singh's end in Operation Blue Star by the Indian government. All 329 on board of the flight were killed, but it was the state of Punjab, which was under the president's rule for a long period of time in 1980 to 1982, witnessed the worst form of violence, becoming a hub of long-grown insurgency which lasted up to 1995, and recorded deaths are more than the number that has been shown, and therefore the wounds continue to pester. So on one side there is mercy from many towards Rajaona because of Bean Singh's action. On the other hand, the political pressures where they do not want Rajaona for a mercy petition. But the question now, the political question over here is that whether the petition can be withheld for such a long time without taking a decision on it, whether the power to grant pardon can be used as a privilege to keep it pending for such a long time, and whether the Supreme Court now will step in like it did in the case of the governors and the president's withholding of the bill to the state assent to the state bills. Will the Supreme Court pronounce its own verdict and give a timeline for deciding even on death row petitions? Now that we have grown into a democracy where we not only recognize right to life but also to die with dignity, where even euthanasia now has become legalized in the country. So these are the most important points I thought I should be discussing with you, and which is very good for your analysis for a death row petition, or because this keeps coming up now and then. And an important question even with regard to the president's power of mercy petition, and how long can this be kept pending, keeping in mind Rajaona's petition which was pending for almost 10 years. So he does not know whether he will be hanged or whether he will be forgiven, therefore dying every day in the prison. So if you did, please do like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to comment at the end of the video. I shall see you in my new post. Until then, it's very happy learning.